Thank you for your attention. My computer's going to die in 12%, and I have a really great set of um, prompts that I was given to share a little bit more about what I do, how I help people. It's been a while. I've been so immersed in everything that I've been integrating and studying in my practice and in my practice. And it's time for a refresher. These are such good questions. Okay, so these all come from someone who is considering working with me. And I'm so excited that you asked all these questions because I really wanted to get a lot of this info out. So, what does high touch mean to you? So, if you've ever worked with me before or have ever been curious about it, I believe in high touch programs. And what that means is when you are healing from something that is like a chronic issue that you've been dealing with for a really, really long time, and the status quo that you've become used to is waiting weeks or months to see your doctor or to have some questions answered, or you have no idea where to look, or there's so much information available. And I say that like that was like a nervous laugh. Like it's like there's so much information available that it's really hard to narrow down like what's the right thing for me and where do I start. So what does high touch mean? When I say my programs are high touch, it means that it's really designed to help you find the right specific thing for you. There's a lot of communication between the two of us. There's a lot of support. There's a lot of accountability. There's a lot of holding the mirror to, who you really are. So, high touch means that I have office hours, regular office hours during the week where you can reach out and send me your questions, or if you're in one of my programs and this is what you signed up for, that's what that means, that you have these sort of hours that you can reach out to me, ask me questions while you're in the process, because things are going to come up. And as my intention is to empower you to then take the tools that we are learning and use them in those moments, and to be there for you and to support you. So high touch means a lot of access and a lot of support. And you don't have to wait to have your questions answered. You don't have to wait that long. I mean, it's not like I'm not on call, but you get the answer within a couple of days instead of having to wait. Okay, so what is your MS story? E.g., when were you diagnosed? What were your symptoms? What did you do for your health? So awesome. I was diagnosed when I was 21. So that was like 2006 or 2005, something like that. I think maybe 2005. And I woke up one morning and my fingers were like this. And when I tried to straighten them out, I couldn't without it like really hurting. So it felt like there was like electrical, like I was being electrocuted, and it was like, kind of creating this like weird mangly situation. Backing up a bit, I had experienced all sorts of symptoms in my entire life. Like I had really bad digestive issues my whole life. I had really bad anxiety when I was a kid, and there was a lot of stuff going on. And I knew I was having traumatic experiences, but now I really know the impact that had on my nervous system, which also, was probably contributing to a lot of these skin issues that I was having too. Now, more and more, I'm noticing with myself and with other people, looking back and seeing what's happening, like skin issues, flare ups. I'll tell you, most people, if not every single person in my practice, says that when they have these skin flare ups, there's something going on in their life. There's some stressful thing happening in their life that is triggering these skin issues, and or they know they have some sort of unresolved emotional issue. If either or both are true, it's very likely that that's activating some sort of, it could be activating some sort of a skin response. It's like we're one whole unit. And so, yeah, when things are happening, it's all connected. So that was happening for me as well, a lot of my life. And so there was this like slow build. I had it was kind of a joke in my family when something would happen. Like, well, not with my family, not with everyone, but like, I mean, I had to laugh because there was always something going on with me. And so when I woke up with my fingers mangled and all like this, I carried on with my day because I was like, oh, I probably slept on it weird or like whatever. Went to work. I was a cashier at the time. I was working the register, and I don't know if it was because I was like actually physically working the register, but it happened again. And it was really scary and it was really embarrassing. And I got my stuff together and I went home. And then a couple of days later, I ended up having like really severe weakness in my left side. Like it really felt like my right side was carrying my left. And it was just like, ugh, and it was just, and so at that point, I was very well connected in the medical world because my dad's a medical doctor. We were friends with every kind of fucking specialist you could imagine, and internists, you know. So I had a lot. I have great insurance. So I had a lot of access. Um, so I started going down the diagnostic route, and I remember one of my dad's friends telling me, and he was a pulmonologist. He wasn't a neurologist, but he was, you know, was a doctor, and actually no, he was a cardiologist. But anyway, he was a very very good family friend, and he said to me, he said, you know, from what I'm hearing and from what you're, you know, the symptoms, he's like, worst case scenario, it's MS. He's like, and that's me saying like that you might have cancer because you have a really bad cough or something like that. He's like, so that's really extreme, but you know, just wanting to share that with you. And I was just like, okay, like I didn't even know what that was. Like I feel like everyone has an aunt who has MS, but like, or at that time, that's kind of what I felt like, but I didn't know what it meant. And so once I went down the diagnostic route, I had to have spinal taps, I had to have the MRIs, I had the EEGs, I had all the tests. And originally, I was diagnosed with something called tonic seizures. Whatever, put on all this crap. But ultimately, we ended up kind of going back and forth in the diagnosis because, like, I had all these skin issues coming up. So then they thought it was maybe sarcoidosis. And then so you know, I went through the process. Like I had three, or I think it was at least three. It was definitely at least three spinal taps. I think it was three. Ooh, just thinking about that now. Just take a moment. But yes, everything came back supportive of MS. That was the diagnostic story, right? And so I had several doctors, went through the process with several people, Columbia University Medical Center, Cornell, Bronx, Lebanon was where I was first diagnosed. That's also where I was born. And so, yeah, that's kind of like how it all went, the diagnosis, and the symptoms were like extreme weakness and numbness on the left extremities. So there would be weeks sometimes where I just like couldn't walk. And I would just have to like lay on my couch and, you know, and then go into the hospital, get some steroids, power up, and then go back to my life. And so deep down, I knew that that wasn't like sustainable, nor did I like resonate with being a sick person. And so that's when I started to look at other places. And maybe that's the next question. But what did you do for your health? So again, my dad's a medical doctor and he's an avid researcher. And so at the time when this started happening, he started looking at all other places too, and actually steered me toward Mark Hyman's work. And that's the first book that I read, was the Ultramind Solution. So I started learning about how the gut and the brain are connected, and the significance of your breath, and you know, how gut symptoms will affect your brain symptoms, and all of these really amazing things. I changed my diet. I actually went gluten-free vegan for like 6 months, maybe longer. I started drinking green smoothies every day. I took gluten out of my diet, removed dairy. I did a gut cleanse. I detoxed my life. I stopped using chemicals. I even started understanding that chemicals had an issue, like perfume. I was a smoker. So like just removing, detoxing. And that kind of never shifts. It never stops, I should say. There's a lot of unlearning that had to happen as well. And spiritually, I think that's where I found the most healing, was once I could calm my body down enough to be present, I could then really connect with who I really am. And that is really where the juice came. So it was a huge combination of things: removing emotional toxins, removing microbial toxins. Again, I did a gut cleanse. I detoxed heavy metals. I did a lot of different things. And, I started really owning my no. I started really only doing things that felt super aligned. And I started really trusting myself and trusting life. And it was a whole combination of process, but that is what I did for my health. So how do you charge? What is your rate? So I have different offerings, and depending on how you come in and what I am sort of offering at the time, I don't offer everything at once, because I have a lot of different people that I can work with. But I have a group program, and that has its own rate. And then there's a rate that if you wanted to add testing, there's a different rate. And then if you want to do the one-on-one program, I include the group and the testing and the first round of supplements. And so that has its own rate. So there's lots of different ways, and it really just depends on what's going on with you. And if you are the right person for this program, I will invite you in, and I'll kind of break down what the options are. If you're not the right person for this program, then I kind of redirect you, and we would do that on a call. That's just the best way to do it, because it kind of changes a lot. So I know that's kind of an annoying answer, but that's the answer. It changes quite a bit depending on how you're coming in and what you're here for. So, have other people in your practice healed from MS or other autoimmune conditions? So I don't claim to that you're going to have the same exact result as me. However, it's 100% possible if you commit to if you devote yourself to yourself. You devote your life to yourself, and you follow the guidelines that I am. You are the healer, right? So if you follow what I'm telling you to do, and you do it long enough to give your body the chance for it to heal itself, this is 100% possible for you. So I worked with a woman who has MS, and she was at a point where she couldn't stand to make dinner, like long enough to make dinner for her family. She's a mother. I think she's like 4 or 5 kids. I want to say 4. And and she's married, and she's a husband, and she was working before she started working with me, but then realized that her job was making her really sick, and also that she just kind of couldn't handle it anymore. So she couldn't even, again, stand to make dinner for her family. She needed to use a thing to kneel on. She needed to hold herself up. When she first started working with me, she was very, very emotionally distraught. She had a hard time balancing out her emotions. She was very kind of weepy. And she was grieving a lot, and I don't think she realized that, but in the beginning. And then she also couldn't make her way fully around Costco. When she was shopping for her family, she would get just too tired and weak, and cleaning her house was also an issue. She was really overweight, and she didn't come in having any thoughts about that, really. She wasn't she never said, I want to lose weight. She just said, I really want to feel good in my body. I want to have the strength to have, and the energy to take care of my kids and my family and all of this. And so after 4 months, maybe 5, because I tend to sometimes stretch things out a little bit depending on what's going on in someone's life, of working together, she committed. She committed to the food piece. She did the testing. She took her supplements regularly. She was doing the practices. She was showing up. She really did what I am telling you is going to take. It's going to take you showing up, and it's going to be much easier when you're supported. And that was my contribution, was support and roadmap. And her contribution was, carrying out what needed to happen. After 4.5 or 5 months, she was able to stand in her kitchen and cook for her family and do it with energy to spare. She was able to walk around the whole supermarket and all of Costco and not be tired after a day of, this may seem small, but if you're someone who struggles with MS or any sort of kind of really degenerative issue, this is a sustainable now win. This is a new level now that she operates at. And she had a lot of root causes. She had a lot of microbial issues and hormone imbalances and neurotransmitter imbalances. And um, just not honoring herself, not not owning her worth, in the way that she is worthy, and so there was a lot of little things that I helped her with. Other people I have helped have had anything from really severe, she wasn't diagnosed because she didn't go to medical doctors, but pretty sure she had some autoimmune hormonal issues going on. Um, she had really bad period symptoms. She had horrible skin symptoms, digestive issues, like really, really, really struggling when she started. And so at the end of it, again, she and I worked together for I think another like 4 or 5 months. Completely different person. I had another woman who struggled with herpes simplex virus, which again is, well, that's not autoimmune, but she does have, I think, she had other potential autoimmune things happening. But yeah, after we sort of, cleaned up the environment, set her up for success, she was not having outbreaks. She was having, a lot frequent outbreaks, and you'll be able to see her testimonial where she says she no longer struggles. Well, yeah, I mean, she's had maybe like one or two, but then we discovered there was also like a mold issue, and then she's like chronic stress issue, and so there's other things at play. But the point is that she now knows what's going on in her body, and she knows how to shut off all of those issues, and so that is what's possible. And that's what I teach people, a whole new possibility of how you can feel. And like, you don't know how amazing you can feel until you feel this way. And even before you were sick, you may not have ever felt this good, and you just never knew what was possible. At least that's what was the case for me, and that's what I see happen for a lot of people that I help. So how does exploring your epigenetics look in your practice? Kind of like what I was just talking about. Epigenetics is all about the environment within where your genes live and what they have access to, right? So it's like, if they're being bombarded with toxins, then they're going to activate disease. That's how it works. It's like a switch. You can also clean it up, deactivate disease, and turn on the switch of the vitality, longevity, and healing mode genes. And that's what's possible. And that's very bio-individual. And we would have to look at that. We would have to look at your genetic testing. I look over here because mine's right over here. So me, for example, when I had my genes tested, I found out I had 5 different SNPs. So that's a mutation. It stands for single nucleotide polymorphism. I had 5 in the inflammatory category. So that leaves me like as such a target for inflammatory diseases, and I was living a very inflammatory lifestyle for most of my life, because you don't know what you don't know. So that's kind of how we explore. But even if we don't do the testing, there's a lot that you just need to know about this using food as medicine, and so that's what I'm going to teach you. What role do Western doctors or neurologists hold for you at this time? So me personally, not a huge role. I do invite them in to help me out, to analyze, blood and to look for things. And I work with functional medicine practitioners and epigenetics doctors more. And so they tell me like, okay, go run these panels. And then in my practice, that's also what I do, is I collaborate with other experts that are licensed to do functional blood chemistry and very well seasoned, and also people who are well seasoned in stool analysis and in neurotransmitter analysis. Like, I consult with geniuses and people who are in this stuff all the time, and then we co-create a totally unique plan for you. So I do it for my own personal, and then that's how I practice. That's what I believed in. That's what I believe in. Where did you do your coach training? Oh my gosh, so many places. 5% on the battery, but I'm doing good. Okay, I have had training, so at Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I also apprenticed under another nutritionist. She was a clinical nutritionist, so I learned a lot about the clinical side of things. I apprenticed with her for about 1.5 years. Learned a lot about green medicine, which is kind of using herbs and whole food supplements and homeopathics instead of, OTCs and pharmaceuticals and things like that. And about bioenergetic testing, which is muscle testing and, reading really what's happening in the field. As we know, the field is what informs the nervous system and what informs the organs and glands. And we can go more into that should we decide to work together, or you can just go more into it yourself. Bioenergetic medicine, it's fascinating, and it's, integrating it has been really, really powerful. And then I studied at Ullin Nutritional Systems, which teaches more on the clinical nutrition. I learned a ton about supplement protocols in that experience, and also at the Unified Medicine Institute, which I don't think is running anymore. I'm not sure, but that is looking at all of the major medical models and integrating them to find the right sort of modality and the right order for the right person at the right time. So the right order of operations and things like that. I have studied with the Gut Institute, Dr. Grace. She's amazing. Again, stool testing, neurotransmitter panels. I've studied Ben Lynch's work kind of on my own. He's an epigenetics doctor. I am enrolled have been for a bit now, in the Four Winds Society, which is all about shamanism and neuroscience and nutrition and energy medicine and biology. I also am a somatic experiencing practitioner in training. So I just finished my first year with that training, and that's really awesome and exciting. I have studied with Dr. Sue Morter and the Morter Institute in bioenergetics and the energy codes. Gosh, there's another like major one that the biology of trauma is something else that I'm studying with Dr. Amy Apijan. Probably pronouncing her name incorrectly, but she's amazing. And so we combine somatic experiencing and functional medicine and so many things. And then I just have, I've been doing this clinically for about, 7 years or something. So having healed my own body, helping others, being super immersed, never stop learning, and it's never going to stop. So these are all, I hope this answers all of your questions adequately. I know this is kind of a longer video, but I want to answer any lingering questions about what I do and how I help people, especially at this time where I'm taking people on. And this could be the most game-changing thing you ever do. And if you want to see some testimonials from people who have worked with me, happy to send that along as well. So thank you so much for the questions.